Here we are, Thursday's episode, Q&A episodes. We've got a bit of a mix actually because take on New Zealand in 2 days. So some Q&A questions and some general bits from me, to be honest with you. How you doing, mate? Camp all right?
Yeah, it's going well, thanks, Ben.
What's going well about it?
I've been allowed out for a bit to come and see you. That's what's going well. Preparation, preparing for test matches. It's a focused week, isn't it? With it being in camp, test week, like you do the week beforehand, which is getting together. It's quite hard physically, trying to get up to speed in international rugby. But then test week, everything boils down, focuses down to the game plan and how you're going to beat. So Steve sets the tone Sunday night with a meeting about his plan, how to win the game. And then from then on, you're basically into camp mode and you're focused on the performance of the weekend. What's
nice though, Coley, is when you are in camp, right, and you're preparing for a big game, is although it's intense and often you're at a club, obviously you go home, but when you're internationally, you're in and amongst it all the time, so you can actually do a lot of like work away from the training pitch, like catching up with coaches, players, that interaction of like this, that, helping young guys that maybe that haven't experienced like games like this or what have you, but like, you know, you never leave it, so the intensity of the week like builds up nicely. I used to love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think probably there are times when that has boiled over in the past where it's literally you're on alert, you're on high alert all the time, like something comes through on your phone and it's like a text message, I'm missing something, or there's a meeting or something called. But I think the programme Steve runs is very much a balance between when we're at the training ground, the training centre, you're 100% focused on meetings and gym work and running and performing. And then when that's over, there's downtime, go recover, go rehab, do whatever you need to do, get around with the players, have lunch together, have food together, have coffees together. If you need to have meetings with coaches, do that, but actually almost set downtime where just relax. Because I think, you know, perform at international level, you have to be on at the highest levels, but, you know, mentally and stuff, physically, if you're going to reach the peaks, at some point you have to come down, and it's better to come down with a controlled environment of actually go and relax rather than falling off a cliff coming down, you know what I mean? So that's a great thing. And test week, you know, there is no distractions in regards to, there's all stuff going on at home, you know, which you're away from, but there's no distractions in camp. The media stuff's controlled. You're in an environment that's, you know, you're there to play the rugby and focus on, and that's one of the great things. You know, one of the privileges of test match rugby is that you're in an environment that's purely focused on winning a game.
What's nice is you obviously went Girona from Monday to Friday, like weekend off, so just Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, obviously come back into camp. But you know when you're turning up on that Sunday, like you can sense, and it's a reminder to yourself. You kind of flick the switch, don't you? Of like
the atmosphere changes.
Test week, it does, yeah.
You flick the switch, atmosphere changes. You have that nice break, deliberate break that's put in. Go home, have a day at home, see your families, get away from it, and then. But when you come in on Sunday night, we're into test week, and you have that meeting. You're focused. You have a meal with everyone. Everyone sort of gets back together. What do you do the weekend, all that kind of stuff, and then Monday morning rolls around and you're on it. So yeah, it's definitely a shift with test weeks. There's definitely a shift in mentality of how to prepare, how to go about your business, and you feel it and you sense it.
You do. It's like it's a focus. It's a little change in terms of you're a lot more heightened in everything, like, and you're a lot more purposeful in everything you're doing.
Everything narrows down. I think like outside sort of distraction is the wrong word, but everything that's going outside the camp bubble is secondary to when you're in it. When you're on, say, previous weeks or training camps and stuff, things can be a bit more relaxed, or you can let things I say distraction is the wrong word, but the focus isn't there because there's no game at the weekend, so you're kind of like, we'll get through this, training's going to be hard, but it's going to be hard, this. But test week is, everything you do in training is around beating the team at the weekend, and that's the sort of the focus, and everything outside of that you kind of park for that week or those few days until you can address it because you are focused on the game.
What I loved as well is when you are in Camp Coley and you are training and you're building towards a big test match like on Saturday, but you subconsciously pick up the energy and the vibe of your teammates, and it almost becomes like a bit of a snowball effect. Like you notice a little bit of change with someone else and then the next person, and as you narrow it down. But one thing I found is, see, do you still move hotels on the Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like you're at Penny Hill for that beginning of the week, and then you almost on that Thursday you do your final preparations as such, and then you change hotels. And again, it's almost like it's like another step towards, okay, we're a step close to showtime, because I know it sounds silly, but it's a mental reminder. Like you're playing, you're training, you're getting ready all week, and then Thursday you do your last preparations and you pack your stuff, and then you go to the other hotel. And again, it's like once you arrive there, you're like, okay, like
it's a different mental block
again, isn't it? Yeah,
it
breaks
always
it up
makes
a
me
bit.
laugh that Thursday after training, like you get to 3 or 4 o'clock when you start to transfer hotels, but 4 o'clock on Monday, you buzz in your training. Same with Tuesday, Wednesday, same. Thursday, you shattered.
You
like,
are.
You like it's almost because you've done the training week and everything's in place, and there's no going back. You sort of that's the moment after Thursday, that morning session. It's not physically tough. We run fast and we peak, and it's mentally intense. It's the real sharpness session, and there's bits to do. But normally by that point, you are, say, sharpening the sword or the pencil, if you want to call it, to make sure that you're good to go. But that Thursday, the transfer of hotels, it's amazing. Like, even during the World Cup and stuff, when we travel to places, the amount of boys that be asleep or just because it is such a sort of mental come down, which is fine, because you've got to have it at some point in the week. You have that then. And then Friday, you basically slowly pick yourself up and build for the game. You go to Twickenham, sometimes have a walk, sometimes have a jog around, that kind of stuff. And then Friday, you physically recovered and you're physically good to go. And say it's just that amazing. That Thursday afternoon, it's just that's the mental side of the game where it's literally it sort of not say it hits you, but everyone's just like, oh, I feel thing, but because it's been so intense that previous block of days, and then that's the sort of mental switch of going actually training's done. After that, you go into the game.
Yeah, you do. It does, and that Thursday is that chance to kind of almost absorb all that intensity of training, that mental load, and you do often feel shattered. Friday's obviously very, very light. And then, like, all your prep's done there. So therefore, a lot of it then is just the mental element of, right, now I'm physically right. I'm so waxed on what my role is. I know we've got clarity in terms of how we want to win this game. So therefore, all I need to do now is make sure that my mind is in the right spot. My body will always follow. Like, am I mentally sharp and ready to go on and, like, perform tomorrow? And that's where that Friday kicks in. And that is, again, like, that's a skill. Like, it is a skill.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone, like, that takes time. And that mental rehearsal of, okay, I know what's coming tomorrow. I'm prepped. And, you know, you always have that chimp on your shoulder that's like, oh, what if? And, like, you have to get rid of all that and just be, like, total self-disciplined in terms of that mental strength of going, I'm going to go out there tomorrow and this is what I'm going to do. And you kind of visualize it, think about it, and sort of like almost pump up your own tires. Certainly what I did, like mindset wise, about this is what I'm going to do and this is how it's going to happen and this is how it's going to unfold. You don't know, but you almost sell yourself the performance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I say Fridays is the mental day. Yes, you do a tiny bit of training, but it's the mental day. But it's the balance of when you need to be on, which might be in a meeting or training, you're on. But then at the same time, you then have to switch off, because you have long periods of the day, even like sometimes on Saturday when you play an evening game, there's long periods of the day where if you think about the game too much, and we've all done it in our careers, like you end up playing the game the day before, and then it almost creates I would say it affects your performance Saturday, but you're kind of almost not excited for the game, but you sort of like thinking about the game too much on Saturday, whereas actually I think as you learn in your career that Friday, there are moments when, you go out for a coffee, you have a laugh, and it's just a break in some, you know what I mean? It's that mental break again, and people might think, oh, you're playing a game tomorrow, like, what are you doing, having a laugh? But actually, that's part of the process of preparing for the game. So when you are on, and you need to play the game, you haven't already played in your head, and you're excited and buzzing to play.
Well, unless you have those little snippets of breaks, you'll literally explode.
Yeah.
I remember actually, under 20s, we were playing France away in Grenoble, 9 o'clock kickoff or something like that. Stayed indoors all day watching Prison Break season 2 or something, and then by the time the kickoff came, I had a banging headache. So well, it's important you get preparation right,
or get some glasses,
all that right. Yeah. Right, let's talk about New Zealand though. Our memories of playing the All Blacks at Twickenham, now Allianz Twickenham.
Allianz Stadium.
Fuck's sake! I've done it again, Coley. Sorry, mate. Allianz Stadium.
Yes.
All right, Coley, like, I can't grasp it, but 2010 was our first experience playing them.
Right,
and we called it Twickenham then.
Just for the record, like, yeah, it's Allianz, but if you do use Twickenham referring to historical things, I'm sure that's allowed, all right?
Okay, fine.
What are my memories? Well, there's not loads, Ben, because I haven't played... There's special games against New Zealand at Twickenham. Like, I think I've played 3 times. Played them at Twickenham 3 times.
We don't play them often.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a period where we didn't play them for like 4 years because I think there was a dispute about fees or something like that. But like, I think I did some research and we've played them 6 times since 2010, 2012, 2013, 2014 I didn't play, you did. I was injured.
I know if I played in 2013, I don't think I did.
Do you not? Okay.
But then... Did I play in 2014? What was the score in 2014?
21-24 to New Zealand.
I can't remember if I played in that or not.
Well, I didn't play. And then 2018 and 2022. I didn't play in either of them. So I played 3...
2022 we drew.
And then 2018 was the Courtney Laws.
Sam Underhill. Try.
Yeah.
Went in and out of Barrett.
But he's offside. But is he offside? But is he? We don't know. Still to this day. Well, he was apparently. But anyway. So I've only actually played him 3 times for Twickenham. And that was 2010, 12 and 13. So quite a long time ago. But that's mean they're exciting games in the fact that... I think that also reflects in the crowd at Allianz. It's going to be... They're nervy. I think New Zealand are sort of... It's probably a bit different because England played them in the summer. But every game I've played against New Zealand, it's exciting that New Zealand are here because they don't come very often. Or they don't come... You know, it's not like every year, every other year. Sometimes we're quite far apart. And B, like, they're kind of nervy. Twickenham can be nervy, but it actually makes for some close rugby games. Yeah,
I agree with that. I reckon there's the fact that we don't play them regularly or often at all makes for excitement. I think, you know, you could play New Zealand 6 weekends in a row and they'd still sold out in a really quick time. And it does have it has a special... I love the autumn. I actually love the autumn series. I used to always love playing in it. The crowd, the fact that you are playing these teams you don't regularly play against, you're essentially putting yourself against the best. Certainly a lot of these teams have the best individuals. And it's just exciting. And you sense it, the crowd. Oh, man, I'm actually jealous. Thinking about it, genuinely, I'm actually jealous, like, thinking about it. Because, obviously, having not experienced that for a while, I don't miss it. But when I start thinking about the thought of playing New Zealand at Twickenham, that generally gets me like, oh.
But I look at the results from the previous 6 games, right? So 2010, it was 16-26, so New Zealand won by 10 points. 2012, England won by 38-21, which was the Manu game. There was 8-point difference the next year after. 2014, New Zealand won by 3 points. 2018, they won by a point. 2022 was a draw. So, like, even if you think, like, okay, there's 10 points there once in 2010, but you think about, like, that was the team that basically went on to win the World... Well, it pretty much won the World Cup 2011, didn't it? So, like, they were a really good side. But you actually look at them, they're close games, they're tight games, they're lost on sort of margins in the game. So it's... I know New Zealand... I remember playing that game, like, New Zealand, we were never going to beat them. But they didn't run away with it.
Sorry, what? You didn't believe?
Well, no, because they beat us by 10 points, but they were...
All these years, 15 years, 15 years has passed, and now you drop on me that you never believed in 2010 we could do it.
Well, you could before the game, but I think there's a period in the game where it's like, you know what I mean? Like, they were periods of the game they were in control of it. They were never... I didn't think we ever wrestled that control away from them, which was, I think, they deservedly won, but they also won the World Cup. They were a brilliant side, but even that game was a 10-point game.
No, yeah, I agree. They were a phenomenal team during that period. And that's why I'm so excited for the weekend, mate. Because I generally think England have a huge opportunity, given the fact that the summer tour pushed New Zealand very, very close. And just being at Twickenham, being at Allianz Twickenham, being at Allianz Stadium, right? We'll get there. I do. I think traditionally they're close, mate. And I'm backing the boys to do the business.
Right. Quick quiz.
I love a quiz. Go on then.
2010.
Yeah.
You played in it.
I did. Did I play in that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you started.
Come on.
Right. Let's be having it.
Let's be having it. Was that first game of the autumn?
I don't know. I didn't research that part. I just looked at the game and the result. Which
But I started.
we both started in that game.
We both started.
I'm going to say, I'll give you the England team. It was Foden, Ashton, Tyndall, Shantaine Happe, Cueto, Flood, Ben Youngs, Sheridan, Thompson, Cole, Laws, Palmer, Croft, Moody and Easter.
Good team.
A good team. A nice splicing of like 03 veterans and some young guys coming through. Courtney, yourself, myself, Ashy, Foden, like Crofty, though I consider him quite a bit older than us now.
Not since he's gone to Turkey.
He had a hat, mate. The other week, his Leicester game, he had a hat on. No one could recognise him.
Didn't recognise
him. Took his
him.
hat off, everyone knew who he was.
No, when he took his hat off, no one recognised him as well. It's the last time I saw him, he had no hair. And now he's got locks.
Anyway, which legend of the game made their debut for New Zealand in that 2010 game? You can ask for...
Hang on, right, legend of the game.
You can ask a clue.
He made his debut that game. Because I was there, so I should know this.
Yeah, you were there. This person on debut was there.
He made his debut against England for New Zealand. And he's turned out to be a legend. Genuine All Black legend.
You can ask 2 clues.
Is he playing the backs or is he playing the forwards?
You want that? That's a clue. He plays in the backs. That's 1.
Back 3?
That would be 2 clues. No.
I think I know.
Have a go.
Was it Sonny Bill Williams?
It was Sonny Bill Williams, yeah.
Yes. Did he start?
Yeah, he did, yeah. 13. Right.
One thing I remember that game, right?
Yeah.
It's coming back to me. Because I think did England nearly score in the corner and then he got boomed into touch. No arm wrap. Would actually be a red card this day, penalty try. I'm sure Ice Tuova was his replacement. I'm sure he hit Shantaine Happe in the corner. If we'd scored there, it was game on. But I also remember at a time like getting out of a ruck, and Marnonu gave me like the old fool's gold, like looking at the short runner coming, and then literally I dummied and he's like, nah, just came in and just absolutely cleaned me up. I just sort of remember it quite distinctly. Like I was like, he proper did me a kipper there.
Well, I'll give you the New Zealand starting backline, right? Mills Malaina, Joro Kathoko, Sonny Bill Williams, Marnonu, Jose Gear, Dan Carter, who played 9.
Can we just say, right, that backline is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and you were saying that I was moaning about losing by 10 points and not winning the game. That's a legendary backline.
No,
mate.
I can see in our youth
why
maybe we went, not me, you went in with the mentality of maybe this might be a bit difficult to win. That is a ridiculous backline.
Yeah, but who played 9?
Albie Matheson.
Yeah, well done. And then you look at the starting team, the starting pack.
Right, let me try and name it.
Okay, right, yeah. Loosehead.
Woodcock. Tony.
Yes.
Big Kev, Mialamu.
Correct.
Tight Ed would be one of the Franks brothers.
Owen Franks.
Second rows would be Whitelock.
Yes, and?
Brad Thorne.
The hardest pushing right shoulder in rugby, Brad Thorne.
In World Rugby.
6.
6. Don't tell me it was Jerome Kano.
Jerome Kano.
Well, we had
7.
no chance. McCaw.
8.
Was Kieran Reid there?
Kieran Reid.
Oh, mate, that team is absolutely ridiculous.
It's stacked, mate.
In fact, the fact they only beat us by 10 is an absolute... There needs to be an inquest into how they only beat us by 10.
But that means...
That is
you
ridiculous
look at that,
too.
But that's the edgy nature sometimes, I think, of the autumn. Like, that's the best... That team won the World Cup. And that's one of the best teams in, almost the history of the game in some regard. The modern game, isn't it, really? Like, there's legends there.
Insane.
And we played them in, say, 10 points. But that's the sort of, I think, the vibe sometimes that... Playing at Twickenham, autumn, 2 teams that don't play each other very often.
Yeah.
Like, even the players don't. It's not like we're in Europe where you play Scottish teams or Welsh teams.
Don't know each other that well.
Don't know each other, and that's what I mean. I don't think they know us and we don't know them. So it's kind of quite edgy in that regard. I think that goes into it. And yeah, it's you look at that team and you'd think, oh my God, they'd have run away with it. But they're always in control of the game. It was only a 10-point game, which is kind of like it's interesting in that regard. Do you remember another memory of mine, which is kind of like a double memory, but 2012.
Yes.
A certain
Depends what your memory is.
guy from Hinckley took the game over.
Yeah, Manu.
Manu.
Yes.
Basically, it was edgy, wouldn't it? About 9-0 or 12-0 at half time.
Faz kicked a load of goals, didn't he? I remember he hit a drop goal, and we kicked
it
those
was like
penalties.
9-0 or something close at half time.
12-0 at half time.
Might have been 12. And then second half, Manu just took over.
Yeah. Well, New Zealand did what they normally do, where you feel like you're in control and you just sort of like need to get a score. And they came out after half time, mate. And I think Julian Savea scored, then Kieran Reid scored, and you're thinking, oh God, like they just literally like turned the dial up. And then Manu, like literally the most basic move as well. It was a 7-man line out off the top, like 9 to 10, 10 to 12 with the winger at the back, and he just literally palms off, gives to Ashley try. And then only a couple of minutes later, of course, he goes to the intercept, which is New Zealand ran that move a lot. So we'd seen it during the week, which was like a wraparound. And he picks that off.
But it's also when we score another try, is it Brad Barrett basically goes through because I think Conrad Smith's basically watching Manu, thinking he's going to get the ball, leaves this massive hole. Brad Barrett runs through and like pass back to him, score. So yeah, that Manu took over. But my memory...
Well, the memory of that autumn is also Fat Coley. We played New Zealand like the last game of that autumn series, and we hadn't won a game.
Yeah.
We hadn't won a game, and like everyone was writing us off, and we were playing against them who were. Well, we talk about their team in 2010.
Yeah.
I mean, the team was even better in 2013. In 2012, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, 2012.
In 2012, so like that was a nuts result.
Allianz Stadium was pumping that day after that.
Yes, it was.
Like that's probably one of the top three. That France in the game we played at Twickenham in like 2015, last game of Six Nations then.
And Australia 2010, mate.
Yeah.
Ashley scores that try.
Yeah.
The place was rocking then as well.
But my memory is actually 2013, the year after, we played New Zealand and in that game beforehand, we used to have like a video before we got on the bus, didn't we? It was at Penny Hill. We sat in the meeting room, we had a video, and it's like, guys, we beat them last year. There's no reason we can't do the same to them this year. Roll the tape. And the video is...
Like, I know exactly what you're saying.
Basically, us versus New Zealand the year before, clips of people playing this kind of stuff. And it's just like, Manu runs through New Zealand. Manu gets an intercept. Manu runs through New Zealand. It's like, yeah, we can do this, lads. And then we look round, it's like, where's Manu? He's like, oh, he's not here, he's injured.
He's injured. Stuart, before we get on the bus, can I just point something out? You know, the 5-minute video you just put on? Yeah, 4.5 minutes with Manu. He's not here.
Yeah, the whole reason we beat them, Manu, he's not here.
5-minute video montage and 4.5 minutes of Manu, and he's not here. Got Joel Tompkins, who's just moved over from rugby league.
Yeah, but like that was Manu's game, and yeah, he wasn't there. We'd have won otherwise. Because even that game, that was Carter's 100th game, 2013.
What's the score?
We lost 22-30.
Oh, do you know what I just thought of? Do you know why?
Carter had special boots on that game, got injured, didn't he?
He did, injured. But do you know who made their debut that day as well? For England. Here's a question for you. Pod listeners get involved. I won't reveal it yet. I'll reveal it at the end of the show. I'll reveal it at the end. Like, you can have a think now about who it is, all right? Because it's just too good. I can't leave out. Don't think about it. I'll tell you at the end. I'll ask you before we wrap up the show.
I need to know. Right, yeah.
Listeners, people on YouTube, put a comment now, and then you'll see if you're right at the end. Don't cheat and look on Google. It's so good. You're going to love it.
2013.
Let's move on. Let's move on. It's just too good.
So the question is, in Dan Carter's 100th game for New Zealand, who made their debut for England?
Yes. Right, I can't wait any longer, Coley.
Yeah.
So, my quiz question, who made their debut the day that Dan Carter won his 100th cap? I'm so excited. I mean, I hope it lives up to expectation.
Did he come off the bench?
Yes, I'd say so. Yeah, no, definitely, yeah, he did come off the bench.
Is he a legend of the game as well?
He's a fucking legend of the game, self-proclaimed.
Is it FB10? Is it Freddie Burns?
Oh. Well done. Well
honestly, I was looking at it because I remember he...
Lover of the pod, may I say.
I thought the game he came on, he won because he kicked the... I was in my head, I thought he played against New Zealand, but I thought he played the year before when he kicked... He came on and kicked like a penalty and we won the game.
Turns out my quiz is wrong.
Did he play 2012?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Right, yeah.
I've absolutely shafted him. He played the year before.
Right, okay. So,
Either way,
yeah.
England are playing New Zealand, so look out because Freddie will be very busy on social
he will,
media.
yeah.
Just letting everyone know that he played against
I'm
them.
sure there'll be a timeline of him like kicking his drop goal again. Because a period he only played the All Blacks, because he did that New Zealand.
I think that's
where
where I've got it from, because he had at one point he had 5 Test matches, and all 5 were against New Zealand.
Yeah. So that must have been his 5th cap. But
I got it wrong. Sorry to listeners. But anyway, thanks for getting involved.
Yeah.
Because now you would have been sitting there and you wouldn't have been able to work out, because I have no idea if anyone made their debut against New Zealand on 2013 or 12, whatever.
2013, yeah.
Who cares? FB10. You've somehow you've somehow turned up again in the show.
Right. We've got some listener questions. Question from Amy. What impact will Alex Mitchell's injury have on England? Would he have been the first choice if he was fit?
Thanks for the question, Amy. Yes, I believe he would have. I think he's seemed to have made a very solid start to his international career. I think he's obviously taken his form from Northampton to England and fast become a very key clog within that England setup. I think he delivers speed of ball around the breakdown. I think that's why you look at Harry Randall's obviously joined the squad. He plays, I'm not saying the same as Mitch, but he's certainly a very busy 9, like speed to breakdown, whips it away, a genuine running threat as well. So I think, for me, I think Mitch is currently England's first choice 9. I do believe that. Had he been fit, he'd absolutely be playing. And I think that him and Marcus complement each other, because they definitely strike me as, well, I know, they like to play the game in a certain way. And I think Mitch's ability to have speed of ball, breakdown speed, and also challenge around the fringes also give Marcus more time and space. So, yes, I do believe that Alex Mitchell will be missed in some form this weekend. Now, I'm not saying that England don't have very good 9s, they do, but I think Mitch has pretty much made that 9 shirt his when you look at it over the last sort of 12 months or so.
Yeah, I think with Mitch's X factor is that like speed of delivery away from the breakdown, his ability to run. But obviously he's got a solid skill set across the board, but that's his kind of like X factor in that running threat, but just the movement of the ball.
And I think that's sometimes so underestimated is you've got the kicking game, he's got all those bits, right? But it's the ability to dictate the pace of a game of a 9. And he gets that flow really nicely. Like he gets and he challenges when he needs to. He picks up lazy runners. Like he's got a really nice feel to the game. I'm a big fan of Mitch. I think he's done a great job. I think he's building on what he's already built on. I think he's going to be an absolute key clog to England moving forward. But it opens up the door for opportunities for Harry Randall, obviously Benny Spencer and Jack Van Portfleet that all fight it out for the next 4 games.
And do you want to compare and contrast those 3 in a sort of, if you give it to the listener in a sort of, without going too in depth, but the pros and cons to say, well, what Ben Spencer brings, what Harry Randall brings, and what JVP brings. With
Alex obviously being out, so now you've got 3 9s to choose from. So you got Spenny, Ben Spencer, who has a very nice control aspect to his game, like a really nice temperament.
One thing I'll say, he runs the show at Bath. You actually watch Bath. I know Finn Russell is obviously a brilliant player and gets a lot of the plaudits, but Ben Spencer pretty much runs like everything in front of him, the exits, the speed of the game, that kind of stuff. And Finn Russell, I think, is allowed to, he gives Finn Russell the freedom to almost play and then pick where he needs to go. And do you know what I mean? That counter-attack, or not counter-attack, but when Finn Russell pulls the trigger, it's kind of like Ben Spencer set it up for him to do it, if you see what I mean. I think he's very underrated. I know he's been playing fantastically well in the Premiership, but I do think like outside of that, he's kind of like, he almost is overshadowed by Finn Russell, which is understandably so. But.
No, I agree. His skill set is outstanding. Like, kicks off both feet, has a brilliant, like his box kicking game, his array of kicking is phenomenal, right? I totally agree, like I said with Alex Mitchell's his ability to control the tempo of a game and go the flow. Spenny's exactly that. Like he's obviously came through a Saracen system now at Bath, but his ability to recognise coming out of his half being very efficient, kick on his terms, make sure he's got that, but then also brings a running threat and an array of skills as you get to the attacking third. So you have that. You have Jack Van Portfleet, who of course played for England, had a very bad injury leading into the World Cup. At that point was very much England's scrum half. Now he's come back into form. Running threat himself, kicks very well and defensively brings a lot as well. And then you got Harry Randall, who for me brings a kind of different point of difference to all of them. He the way that Bristol plays, like Rands is a quick tap, high tempo, like, you know, when back end of a game, especially as you think test matches, right? 20 minutes to go, he comes on and he zips around, like genuinely zips around, like got a great service, speed to break down is very, very fast. Challenge around the fringes, but can up the tempo. And I guess Rands' the way that he plays is very much the way that you see Bristol plays, which is all out attack and playing that, and maybe doesn't get recognised for the ability to control a game to the level that Spenny, Jack, and probably Mitch can. But a lot of that is because of where you play at the club and the perception. But I think England have a huge amount of talent at 9. But to answer Amy's question, Alex Mitchell, I believe, right now, although he's injured, still has possession of that starting 9 shirt. The one thing I would say about the scrum half situation, right, is you've now got a crop. Spenny's actually quite a bit older than the other guys.
He's like
but
32, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. But you've got, and I'm not writing him off at all, but you've got...
You need a veteran in there, mate.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's why I'm not writing him off. But you've suddenly got like a crop, and I actually think Will Porter at Quins is a very good 9 as well, who's not in the squad. But they all bring different skills and abilities, and it's a bit like the 10 jersey. Like, it's now, are you selecting on the basis of who's best suited for that game, rather than maybe in the past where there's been certain positions, or scrum half for a long time it was myself and Danny, and you didn't maybe have the depth there to kind of pick for certain scenarios, where I think right now I look at the scrum halves and I think you've actually got a crop there that you can generally go, right, he's best suited to do this, he's best suited to... Here are the 2 guys that I would always start. Like, if he starts and he can't, then this guy starts, but he's not a bench player. Yeah. And some guys are suited to coming on and bringing impact. So I think it's actually, they're in a really strong position in terms of the depth they've got.
Well, the thing is, you've got different ways of playing the game, because you might be able to bring on depending on how you think the game is going to pan out, you can have options on the bench where actually this guy's going to up the tempo and then we're going to, might have to come back from behind or something like that, or alternatively might put a player on the bench who's more steady and goes, actually, he can see out the game. And, when you have options of different styles, it's actually, you can change the way the team plays, or you can envision how a game is going to be, or you want to go all that attack with the first 16, we're going to build a lead, and then we're going to see the game through, you know what I mean? And similarly vice versa, and that's kind of like, that's the great thing about having different options at 9, is you can pick the 9s of the games you want to play, and that having that versatile skill set across the board it works in the coach's favour. I
just think the way the game's going at the moment, and the importance of speed of ball, I think the 9 has to have the ability now to bring abundance of tempo. And that's not like running around like a lunatic. That is being really efficient coming out your half, doing all the bits, the nuts and bolts that's expected of you. But when it's time to turn up the volume and go, it's got to go. He has to create the flow and rhythm of the game. And I think that's where the game's heading even more. I think it's always been like that, and I think it came away a little bit, but I think now it's how you break down defences. Well, like, you have to create speed of ball, and sometimes it is the simple ability of how quickly can that 9 go from A to B to get it in the 10's hands. I think that's
especially prevalent in the opposition 22 or point zone, as you call it, because I say defence is so good, but you get to the tail end of games and there will be fatigued forwards or heavy players on the field, and that ability to bring on a 9. I would say, even if you want to, ideally, you don't get many chances in point zone in the international rugby. I don't know the stats, but you probably get 5 or 6 in a good time. And if you're going to be playing phase in the opposition 22, having a 9 that can up the tempo, it might be slow as anything inside your own half, kicking the ball, doing that kind of steady stuff, but all those 9s in that squad, now, when you get in the opposition 22, can up the tempo, the ball's available to go. It's not like you're waiting for the ball to be available. They can, which means you're going to play at one speed, which is the slow speed. They have the ability to slow the game down or speed up, and that's how you break defences down. When you play multiple phases in the opposition 22, it's the 9, the ball's going, gone. Teams are going, the ball's going so quick. Then they relax, the 9 picks and goes and it's through the ruck, or vice versa, that kind of stuff. And that's where defences, you get challenged, is the fact that the ball's away. I'm chasing around the corner and trying to get into position as quick as possible. I think he's going to pass the 10. I've overstepped it. He's then dummied and gone and run the back foot, and you can't recover from that kind of stuff.
Well, good luck with that, mate. More importantly, good luck to the England team. Good luck to everyone involved. Be there on Saturday and cheering on England at Allianz Stadium. Thank you. And
you're going to have a game pint for the love of rugby.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying. The two go hand in hand. You can't watch rugby and not have a pint of For the Love of Rugby, pale ale, special 3%, people's captain. More importantly, good luck, mate. Good luck to England. And that is our guide to New Zealand on Saturday.